Hello. I made a mistake. I stayed up till 5:30 in the morning playing Brickadia, and I built a fighter jet. I must show the whole computer system. At least that worked. Okay, fighter jet. Now, it may not look like much, but give me a second. We got to get the landing gear up. Set the tilt to vertical. Okay. Yep, we got landing gear. We can vertical tilt the thrusters. We got a turret. And rockets. Engines engage. Still a little wonky. Well, pull up the landing gear. Okay. The tilt kinda doesn't. You lose too much altitude with the tilt, and you gotta kinda hold down space for the thrusters to thrust right. For the thrusters to thrust. No. Yeah, that always happens when you try to do the tilt on the. I tried to make it where it flies away. Once we get this thing landed, I'll show you the computer system. If we look closely, we can see the outline of the computer system. If we look here, we got, buttons, but, oh. Yeah, that tends to happen. We crashed so quickly that we went straight through the wall. Okay, computer time. Pooter. Okay. Let's deactivate the engines, drop it down, turn on the tilt. There, this will drop it nice and low. Drop it low. And okay, we can already see things are going crazy here. The first thing I added was the projectile spawners, which are enabled through the system here. And what it does is we apply a minigun on the tubes, fires minigun sounds, shoots minigun rounds forward. Rocket launcher is set with the edit projectile spawner with the rocket spammer and fire rocket launcher sound. Nothing special. Now the thrusters gets a little weird. The thrusters, I had to set them to 100,000. Ignore the throttle. That's a clock I have running in the background. The pitch and yaw, I'm actually controlling via the seat, which we'll get into momentarily. But oh, hold on. If I can get to it. Am I hitting the right button? There we go. If we look here, there's one of our motorized servos. It's a rigid servo, along with the wheels down there we got a rigid servo in this wheel. Rigid servo here. Um, Rigid servos on the wing tips. And, yeah. Nice. Okay. Now the crazy nonsense. We, got our buttons. You've seen those. They're just your standard buttons, switches, buttons. We got these things called decals, text decals. Those are new. I just, put in a text. Don't bother with the font, really. We could do a font, but yeah, it's not really meh. Anyway, I set them to 2 centimeters in size on the Y plus, so I can see them. Okay, now the big thing. We got gyroscopes in all these computer systems. Computer chip, computer chip, computer chip, computer chip, computer chip. Where's the dip? Okay, okay, in here. Oh, maybe we should see it from the other side. In the back here. Let's see, that's the gyroscope. No, that's the weight. That applies 50 kilograms purely in the center of this system. Here is the gyroscope, which is set to a strength of 5 times and a dampening of 1. And it just keeps it more or less upright, but it lets some crazy stuff happen. Because the way I built that, because the way I built it, I wanted it to like jiggle a little and tone and tilt. It does a pretty good job of staying stable. Let's deactivate the engines. Okay. Now, the big thing back here. Hold on. Big thing back here is this controller. Hold on. Let me pull one more thing back. You can look at this. This is a input splitter that comes off the seat, and it splits the WASD in space. You got the press jump, which by default is space. The input right is the right and left, which is A and D usually. The input forward, W and S. So those are our inputs, which do which I've got set to control all the jiggly bits. Now the painful part. First thing we're going to look at is probably going to be the landing gear controller. Landing gear controller, as we've seen, we just clicked on a microchip. This microchip, we got one for the left and one for the right and rear. And the reason that is because... what? Okay. The left is... the left one is connected on via the right of the leg, where the rear and right are connected via left of the leg, meaning I need negatives for one set. So one of these is outputting a negative 90 and the other one's outputting a positive 90. And these microchips go multiple layers deep. So it's like when you go in, it goes into a input and out the output back down the layer. And what I did was there's a uh, when powered and when not powered. So when not powered, this powers, and it sets the variables. So I got a -90 and a 0 being set based on variables that's being pumped in. And then these are set variables, which sets the main variable over here, which is the current active, which gets pushed through and out, down a layer, and then down a layer, and then out to the servos. Now that's the easy part. Trust me, we're gonna lose our minds. Lose the minds. What's this one? Ah, this is the thruster modifier. Thruster modifier, which is based on something I can't remember what it was. Let's see. 60. Ah, yeah. This is the thruster tilt modifier. This sets the tilt for each one, depending on whether the tilt is set to. We get the base tilt, we get standards, then not standard. Let's see, -60 and 0. So 0 is when it's not tilted. We're looking at the right or left one of these. So 0 would be straight up and down. 60 is forward, and that's the modifier that gets pushed out. Like I showed on the other side, you get the input and the not and powered and not powered, and the two variables that gets pushed into the main variable that pushed out, depending on whether it's powered. That's going to be most of these chips. Yeah, that was the right side. So yeah, that's the right side. So this is currently tilted at 60 based on that information, but we also have the thruster tilt the LR thruster tilt controller. Left right thruster tilt controller. So we got left and right, and then what these do is they take in more variables from the seat. See, that's just the base position that we calculated over on this wing. We're just calculating the base position of 60, 60, and 60 onto those onto those servos. But then those variables come in through here on the left and right, and we're gonna have another one for the rear. Don't worry. That's its own separate system because we ran out of inputs. We get the WS and the A and D. So we get left and right inputs and then the forward back inputs. So if we actually jump in the cockpit and I press forward, that one goes down, that one goes down, they both go forward. W, 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 S, 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 S. And then if I hit A, they do an opposite. One does a negative and one does a well, actually they both do a positive if I hit A, and then they both do a negative when I press S, which because of where they're placed, the values are inverted. So, yeah. So that's for those. We can take a quick closer look here. Yeah. So, like I said, we got WASD or whatever, and this is going to be the left controller. This is left wing. Let's do right wing. This is the right wing. It intakes the AD and the WS axis and the right thruster controller from the thruster controller over here. So it takes this, and so the right is here. That's going to be the main value. But these over here, if we look under this, okay, here's the input of AD, of AD, and here's the input of A or SW, and then we have a value over both of them because we can stack these. We get values of 30 and negative 30, and because of which way we wanted the A or D or whatever doing, and then those we do a multiplier. We multiply those by these values, and then we add those multipliers together to get our ending multiplier, which gets added to the standard already inputted degree of the base angle, and then that is we apply a delta time to the set variable, so it's always the constant input thing, and then we apply that as the new variable, and then that gets pushed back down and out somewhere into the thruster. Yeah, that goes straight into the thruster, or not thruster, straight into the thruster tilt mechanism somewhere here. Yeah. 3 days. Took my wife 3 days to make that potato salad. What am I looking at? Ah, yeah, we're with the LR. Now the thruster throttle controller, that's gonna be last. Here's basically the same thing we saw inside the L and R system, but we just ran out of space on the microchip because we had 4 inputs and 2 outputs, and we needed 2 more or 3 more inputs or whatever, or a couple more inputs. 1 more input? I can't remember. But yeah, this is basically the same thing as the higher level of the thruster controller. It's just simplified for the rear thruster. Yep. Let's see. Yeah, here we go. Input variable. It gets multiplied to create the modifier, and then that modifier gets applied to the base angle, and then that says the main variable of the angle variable. Yep. Now, well, dude, I don't even know. I just finished this and took a nap. Like, this takes in the base value of the thruster, and depending on if you're pressing down the space bar and applying thrust, this takes in the base value of, are you pressing down the space bar? If not, it sets the variable to -1. If you are pressing down, it sets the variable to, or hold on, it sets, yeah, here we go. Yeah, if it's not held down, -1. If it's held down, negative 0.1. If it's held down, positive 0.2. That gets sets to this modifier variable, which will then be added as the modifier. It gets added into the variable of what the throttle is currently set at, which originally it's set at 5, but it's already dropped down to 0. And there's a constant clock ticking. That constant clock over here ticking, setting this variable in here based on what the variable was, minus or plus what's happening to the variable. And then here is if it is less than 0, less than 0.15, less than 0.15, it will set the variable to 0.15 to keep it from dropping below the 0.5 that it currently is. See, 0.15 to 0.05, flipping back and forth. And this is the in-between. If it is between the minimum over there and the maximum over there, max being 0.5, that sets to 0.5. If it's over 0.5, it sets to 0.5, and then it goes through the system again. Over here, if this is between 1.5 and 0.5, then it will take its number and then it will push it through the plus algorithm to add or subtract whatever the variable is to do the base math. And then it also goes and sets that as the variable for the rear thruster. It pushes out the rear thruster here, and then we have some additional stuff for the left and right thruster based on the input of being pressed. I forget what input this is. What port is being imported here? Oh no. No. That ain't good. No wonder it's all wiggly some days. See, this is supposed to be connected to something. I took a nap and my brain is empty. The thruster should be based on the left-right. Hold on. Not forward, right. We take right, right goes in here. Okay, so now the left-right variable is being applied into these. And, so the left-right variable, here's the thruster variable that's constantly shifting between 0.05 and 0.15. And, that's going to have the modifier applied to it. Now we're pulling the, are you pressing A or D, and then it subtracts that, and then, which explains why this, oh, that's another reason that wasn't working, which explained why this variable multiplies the thrust on the, let me double check this side's good too. Yeah, it multiplies the variable of how much thrust I want the thruster to do. And then it adds the thrust, it adds the keyboard input modifier to the constant thrust produced by the spacebar, which has a minimum of 0.5 or whatever, and then that gets pushed out. to the right and left thrusters, respectively. Let's see how this handles now that we fixed a bug that I didn't even know was there. Yeah, I showed all that, didn't I? Okay. Ah. 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 Uh. Okay. Hold on. Something ain't right here. You. There we go. Okay. Now, I did put a speedometer thing there on the thruster, but it's flickery and stupid. Now, we want the tilt to be non-existent. Oh. You also want it to drop. Yeah, okay. We need the landing gear up for takeoff. Actually, you know, let's go ahead and apply tilt for a second. Landing gear up. Engines on. Yeah. Tilt. Yeah. Ah. Oh, uh-oh, those multipliers might be involved on the wingtips. Oh, oh. Alright. There we go. Now, yeah, those modifiers on the wingtips are a little strong. I'm gonna have to dial it back again. Let me just do a quick repair on that. That was the thruster throttle controller. This variable should be, if it's, do I multiply it? Oh. What am I doing? No. Bad me. Let's try this really quick. Of course, we're gonna have to do it to both, for otherwise it's gonna be unstable. Okay. Okay, delete variable plus, don't need that. Disconnect that. There. Almost done. I gotta keep this short, otherwise it will take too long to upload. And that will affect the... I probably should still have that modifier in there to set a 0.5 to reduce by half. But I think I was actually increasing it with that. Is the engines on? Oh. Yeah, engines are on. I think... Oh. I think I killed the engines. Uh-oh. Whee! Yeah, I killed the engines. Somehow. What did I do? Well. Mm. Oh no. Yeah, where'd I put it? Yeah, we need those. Mm. The reason we need those was there was a, yeah. The reason that needs to be there is because... You know what? I think we're not gonna mess with that. Yeah, let's just leave that at 1. And the reason B is we just completely cut all power to the thruster because we was like multiplying it by 0. So yeah, let's not do that again. Anyway, there it is. Whoa. Right off the runway. Let's deactivate those thrusters at 50%. Okay. Yep. That's my build. Machine guns, rocket launchers, directional thrusters, wheelies, retractable landing gear, vertical takeoff system, uh, multiple onboard computer systems, buttons. Sometimes we shoot ourselves. Sometimes the rockets don't go right. Let's see if, yeah, there still needs to be some changes to that. But overall, it's a, sometimes there's trouble toning because you gotta realize it's an aircraft and there's no drag. Ooh, ooh, yeah. And I probably raise the base thruster because I have it set as a base thruster of at least always 50. Or I think I do. Maybe I think I toned that off. So yeah, I think they're... Yeah, thrusters? No, thrusters are half on. Yeah, the thrusters are going on and off, on and off. Meaning they're at 0.05. No. Okay. Anyway. I hope you enjoyed my preview of the fighter jet. Ah! Not again! Anyway, bye.